Yeah, obviously there's been a long time strategy of you put rich people on your board and it's expected that they will make or have their corporations make very substantial contributions, right? And you expect them also to encourage their employees to assist the nonprofit, and they adopt a particular nonprofit. Nonprofits themselves, of course, can be control frauds as well. The Baptist Foundation of Arizona was a classic Ponzi scheme, right? So I've been concentrating here because of the economic crisis only in the corporate sphere. But yes, it occurs there. And in response to the gentleman's earlier question, government can be a control fraud and frequently is. I assure you that I am not naive about the difficulties of government. After all, one of the proposed charges against Speaker Wright was his effort to fire William K. Black for having the audacity to blow the whistle on him. So yes, government has severe limitations as well.
This gentleman down here in the front with the blue shirt.
If Obama isn't sensible enough to follow your advice, what lies ahead for us?
I think if they continue down this road, that it will be a one-term presidency. I think that there will be the logic of the bailout gets bigger and bigger, and you have to do more and more games. Apropos the gentleman's up above's earlier question, and because it's done in such a opaque way, and we do actually benefit folks who are least deserving, I think it's going to produce a scandal. I don't know why it hasn't produced more of a scandal already. We secretly, through AIG, the single biggest recipient of the secret off the balance sheet bailout was Goldman Sachs at $12.9 billion. And it was done at a time when Paulson, who had been Goldman Sachs CEO and gotten it into trouble by putting it into the subprime, used Goldman Sachs as Treasury's consultant about what to do with AIG. And, you know, that, I don't understand why that isn't a massive scandal. We simultaneously bailed out UBS, a giant Swiss bank, for $5 billion secretly through AIG at a time when we were prosecuting UBS for defrauding the United States of America by aiding tax evasion by the wealthiest of Americans. And we fined them $780 million, I think it was. But we gave them $5 billion. So we paid our own fine and gave them $4.25 billion in walking away change.
Why? On the board, right?
And they're not insured. Remember, AIG is not FDIC insured. We owed not a penny. I don't understand why the folks who go crazy about immigrants don't go crazy about, you know, sending $5 billion to UBS.
This lady down here on the left, there you go.
Hi, thank you, Ian, for this very informative event and the others that you do, and for your radio show. My question as an activist is, okay, the government, the Obama government is quiet. They're not seeming to do anything. What can people do, us down here? Where can pressure be put on the elites? Which elites up there would fight against this that we can? In other words, there's got to be somebody that's losing, that is also up in the corporate sphere. Who is losing out, and what can? How can pressure be put on them so that they react to help to curb this whole thing?
CEOs aren't losing out. They don't.
No, I don't mean CEOs.
But I mean, CEOs are going to decide policy.
Right, but she's looking about interest groups to make alliances with.
Oh, okay.
To make change and do.
Well, first, we are working with many members of Congress to try to get field hearings, to try to get.
Which members of Congress? That's what we want to know.
Okay, so as to the first thing, we is not some standardized group, but there are a lot of folks that share this concern, and they include economists like Jamie Galbraith, Jane DeRista, journalist economist like Robert Kuttner. I'm sorry? Michael Hudson, Dean Baker. Some people, if you haven't, if that's
So
not a
is this
familiar name.
economist for Jamie's group?
Jamie's group is certainly include a number of the folks, but it's not just economists and such. So we are trying, and I mean, obvious members that are helping are Bernie Sanders in the Senate, Senator Dorgan in the Senate again. On the House, some of them are sensitive to their names being, so I would try with your congressperson, and you can email me if you want more specific introductions. Well, things like CU, Service Employees International Union, is trying to take a lead in this. You have you have leading blogs. So if folks read Fire Dog Lake,
She's
or
coming.
Naked
She's coming here
Capitalism.
on the. Jane's coming here on the 21st to the forum.
Jane is real strong on this. Huffington Post is generally supportive of these types of things.
But there's no corporate powerful interest that doesn't want the whole thing to fall apart. I mean, in other words, when you're trying to do something about global warming, your enemy is Exxon, but maybe your friend is Farmers Insurance because they're going to have to insure stuff.
Right, but that's not going to apply here because the interest is going to be primarily. Again, we really need to change executive compensation.
I see.
That comes from CEOs. You're not going to get CEOs supporting you on that. You should. I mean, you will get folks like the Sage from Omaha who said some very useful things, but he's not a very conventional CEO.
Right.
And he owns Moody's.
So,
And some other things that wouldn't be so well. But
okay, the lady here with the hand over here.
I think you're terrific. You're very direct, you're giving simple statements, you're really clear and informative, and I love this. My question is, when you talk about we should contact our congressperson or somebody, we do that all the time, and people get polled, and 70% of the people in the United States say they don't want bailouts, and who cares? So that's not seemingly effective or responsive, and I'm asking you how to circumvent the usual procedures of being ignored.
I will say first that those letters do matter, but I understand the limitations of them. That's why we work with particular members of Congress. We spend a lot of time. They use us as free research assistants, right? I've spent weeks of my efforts recently, and it's always the last minute, and there's a hearing tomorrow, and what questions should we ask, and things like that. If you have financial expertise, you can be part of that process directly. If you can help answer those questions that people have. You can help do research. You can help write things. If you're a decent writer, a blog in which you explain the analysis, in which you pass on things where people have done stuff. It's this is why we've got much more visibility. Getting on something like Bill Moyer's doesn't occur spontaneously. It's as a result of months and months of work in other places. Sometimes you have connections too. People you respect in the media, where you can set up people for those talks. Once we can get these field hearings occurring, we need attendance at the congressional field hearings. And we're going to try to get them in many places.